Alright, I'm back. I just came in from making the video, and I'm looking outside. I'm sitting at, I'll just show you real quick. That's where I was, Studio P. Now we're at Studio Indoors. I watched the nightly news, I guess that was from last night, about the breaking news. The investigation of Donald Trump is turning, into the prosecution part of it. And Mike Pence is in this situation whereby he says nobody is above the law. Hello. The president actually is above the law. But it was like a lame duck. It's like, he can still be considered president, but it's just awkward at that point. Like what I mean, he's supposed to be, getting out. And now at the same time, he alleged without evidence other than affidavits of people stating things, I wanted to see the actual evidence of people, poll workers, calling the police. Hey, I'm supposed to be able to examine and watch over my party, Republican, or my party, Democrat, or I guess minor party, but these other dudes over here, they won't let us get in. They won't let us watch over to make sure they're counting the votes properly. In Detroit, in Philadelphia, in Atlanta, wherever they're alleging, in Arizona, wherever they're alleging this fraud, which fraud is, even people can just throw fraud out there. It's just so vague, I'm into like actual hardcore proof. What you'd call it would be forgery. You got dead people voting when they've been dead for, I've seen it in my election, but look, I'm going back now to what Mike Pence said and what my experiences in different things, all right? 2008 criminal prosecution of me for preaching the gospel. That was definitely politically motivated, and it was one of those things whereby it's a fashionable thing to prosecute a street preacher. And then you got the issue with 2010. You could go to rrpd.net to see the I don't want to say bogus because without evidence, they said I transferred money into an account I had. The Mr. Beamer, Bemer, he's a prosecutor. He got information, some kind of knowledge from Sergeant Goulis as well as Sergeant, at the time, Patrolman George. I call him George Lynchman, better word for him, Lynchman. And of course that fucking Kelly, he's the chief. He's a dimwit. You got so much. You got more than 300 thefts in that city, Rocky River, Ohio, every year, and most of them are getting most meaning less than actually 50% of them actually going to like any kind of conviction. But Pamela Bobst, Bobst, she was the mayor. So I can say this was politically motivated. 2008 was politically motivated. Any civil lawsuits were politically motivated. But the reality is this: yes, I am, and everybody else is indeed above the law when it comes to who you are in Christ. Okay, you are the grace. You are the grace of God. You live in not just grace, meaning over it's going to look over your sins. No, you are in the space and world and kingdom of favor. You're righteous. You're done. You're a finished work. But that's another issue. With regard to the actions that happened, 2008, 2010, the divorces. Oh, we can go ahead and, I'm talking to a lot of guys in Ohio and some women even here in Florida. Here in the condos, I talked to a woman just recently. She wanted to live here. But they're having issues with the family and children's services. Yes, it is a fashionable thing to beat up on mothers and fathers, more stay-at-home fathers, and especially blacks than mothers. Well, they can call themselves mothers. I made the point that these mothers in this country are a total disaster, and most fathers too. It's like, Okay, you're going against a system that you know is already dirty. So Donald Trump comes out and says, they're corrupt. They bring in this guy named Jack Smith. He's corrupt as far to the left. You never, ever once heard me say that, yeah, well, it's true in my situations whereby the city of Cleveland is corrupt. The RRPD was corrupt, still is. But you know what does matter? When you get, what trumps all this stuff is evidence. Mr. Trump, Mr. Pence, you little bitch, Trump. One woman I know, she calls him Rump. Damn, Mike Pence. He's an absolute bitch. He just gets pulled all the way around, you know. So what? It's politically motivated. There's no excuse for you not to just go out there and say, yeah, you know what? And because, I mean, even in my cases, they were dismissed, and I still looked at their situation and said, hold on a second. I mean, how the hell is you as a president, as a Governor Mike Pence, a former U.S. congressman, look at evidence and say, oh, okay, well, because what I mean, you know, taking classified documents from the White House, it's kind of strange, isn't it? That they even care about that. You know, I mean, I've taken documents back to my home when I worked in the banking industry. I'm thinking about this now, you know, like, which you probably shouldn't do that. I know people who work for NASA. It's considered Department of Defense. Agency. So I love doing these videos, just so raw, you know, and candid. What does that say to you if you're going to be president or governor with regard to actually overseeing the law? I mean, we have laws, and under grace, we're not under the law of Moses, obviously, right? But still, there's no excuse for you to not be able to just go, well, I mean, I even though they were corrupt, I looked at my situations, I wanted to see the evidence, I wanted to present any kind of evidence I had to work with these people. You still have no excuse to be able to say, oh, you know what, I can still work with you. As bad as these women are in this country, and the men are too, complete and total unmitigated disaster mess. When it comes to parenting, they just put children on a little, like, or Muppet them, you know, Muppets. But they're puppets. They just kind of, you know, do what they want with the children. Pass along drugs to the children. Use them for all kinds of weird government benefits. They're like little pawns to these people. But you still have no excuse not to be able to just, instead of blaming everything on the prosecutor, what about yourself? What does this say as you, personal responsibility, Governor Pence? He's trying to make like, I'm a good governor. I came from Indiana and I was vice president. And just think about this. What a mess. And I'm not saying Biden's any better or worse, or it's just, he played his cards real good to slide. I'm thinking of Top Gun, you know. We didn't slide into second place. We won it. No. That's what I gotta say. I mean, just you know, it's just reckless public office. There's another issue going on here, though, and I still meet people today who say what Bill Clinton did with his role in Jeffrey Epstein stuff, as well as Donald Trump, was just what he does in his personal time. And then, of course, Hillary Clinton, beating him up all the time because of that, the cheating and all that stuff, taking interns into his office. They don't have a problem with that. It's not a violent crime. I think if you're messing around with children who are under, I guess, even 18. I mean, in my state, they go 16, I guess, in Ohio. It's weird how they change those rules in different places. But it's a violent crime, dude. I mean, you look at the, what's that, Jim Bob, the Duggars. Sick stuff, y'all. That's a violent, horrible, nasty, vicious crime. Selling drugs and using drugs is a very violent and nasty crime also. I mean, it's across the board. I had a guest in here from Turkey, and I said, no, was that he the one who did it? Another dude. I don't know. Somebody rearranged things in here. Just do what you want in here. I'm not like, it's got to be this way kind of thing, you know. Just be comfortable here, you know. So, my Chase Lounge was right where I am right now, and then I was in the corner back again, and therefore I had to move all my books that were the background, you know. Let's see, do I have anything here? No, they're all like packed away because we had a flood, you know, for the hurricane. I had to get them up high, you know. Which I have one book that did actually get quite wet. And here I am, I'm trying to side with them and trying to figure out, like, well, hold on a second. I want to be with you on this, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's politically corrupt. Politically corrupt. I want to see the evidence. Do you know how pure, how beautiful evidence is? Not just a hearsay. That Mueller, Robert Mueller, that dude, I like him a lot, man, I'm telling you. He found some shit on people. I'll tell you, you can go get some shit on other people too. And he didn't go after the president, Donald Trump, because he was the president. He saw that the Constitution says the president can do whatever the president he or she wants to do. It's somewhere in the Constitution. I've got one phone charging, that's like a Wi-Fi phone. And this one right here is just waiting for the, on hold now. God, I want to be with him so much, I really do. I mean, these people who are in prison, they tell me all the crimes that they committed and everything, and how the prosecutors mess with them and detectives planted stuff up on them. I get that, I do. But still, there's going to be evidence of them getting caught. And they usually, almost 100% of the time, they get in trouble. I never really paid too much attention to the outside from this angle. Usually I'm seated. I'm usually seated. I'm a public author. Like this, I'm eating my food. Boo. All right. Well, anyway, I was watching nightly news. I watched Lester Holt, but another dude was in for him. That's where I heard this stuff. So I was just outraged by how, like, Pence wrongly said nobody's above the law when the one person who's above the law is the president. And other people, too. Guess who else fucking is above the law? Blacks. Latinos to an extent as well as that was a racist comment that Mike Pence was making, too. Asians, women, anybody who's non-male white is above the law because you're a protected person. You're protected by, so it's, I don't know if it's a constitution. I don't think it's a constitution, But like, for example, 1973 Rehabilitation Act, 1984 and 88 is when Americans with Disabilities Act is pushed and pushed and pushed, like, finally went through. And then, of course, George W. Bush in 2008 added some things to it. So, who is above the law? Children, unfortunately, they are above the law, because guess what? You got a lot of prosecutors who don't want to prosecute children who are committing heinous crimes. In this country, they are. And guess who else is above the law? And we're seeing it all the time. As the President Bill Clinton declared, these people coming across the border as an act of war, he said that they are criminal aliens. I say it's an act of war. You're not allowed to be going on somebody else's property into a different country without properly documenting what they like, the whole documentation stuff, doing it the appropriate way. And there's certain countries that are a part of the ESTA program: UK, France, New Zealand, Canada, Germany, a bunch of others, Wow, the more I think about this, that's just a racism spewing out of his mouth. Nobody is above the law. It doesn't make sense. Like, how's that a racist comment, Jason? It's very racist. It's just that you're going to just go ahead and lump all these people together, and your idea, whatever the law is. The Canada uses this reason by guilty of insanity more often, way more often than the USA does. I don't know how effective it is, but they use that like here and there in America. I met a guy actually got that GRI here in Daytona Beach. There are laws that we need to understand and not just enforce, but just respect. I think that pretty much covers what I was thinking about. I was like, I'd like to share that with you, and I'm going to give the link too for that. I like to watch sometimes the nightly news on NBC, ABC, CBS, whatever it might be. And look, the reality is, look at the very beginning of the video. It says this broadcast is sponsored by Pfizer.